The January 6th committee just exposed how cowardly Josh Hawley is.
Later that day, Senator Hawley fled after those protesters he helped to rile up stormed the Capitol.
For those who need a refresher, Senator Hawley was one of the people who riled up the insurrectionists on January 6th. He even raised his fist in solidarity with their efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Then, when that exact same group of people attacked the Capitol building, Josh Hawley ran for his life like the coward he is.
You sound like a bitch, nigga.
See for yourself.
I just can't stop watching this video, so let's play it again.
Additional security footage shows how Leader Schumer had a near miss with the mob. They came within just yards of rioters and had to turn around. Here in this new video, you see Leader Schumer walking up a ramp. Going up the ramp with his detail, he'll soon go out of view. Seconds later, they return and run back down the hallway, and officers immediately shut the door and use their bodies to keep them safe.
He ran for his life like the coward he is.
What a coward Josh Hawley is. A total fraud, a total phony.
Josh Hawley ran for his life like the coward he is.
And if that wasn't humiliating enough, here's the actual reaction from people watching inside the Jan 6 hearings. Not so tough now, are you, Josh?
You stupid fucking redneck.
To prove that Josh Hawley was a coward, the committee released video of him loping out of the building on the afternoon of January 6th with a police escort. The tape became a staple on social media. Democrats laughed with derision. But in fact, the surveillance footage we reviewed shows that famous clip was a sham, edited deceptively by the January 6th committee. The clip was propaganda, not evidence. The actual videotape shows that Hawley was one of many lawmakers being ushered out of the building by Capitol Hill police officers. And in fact, Hawley was at the back of the pack. The coward tape was a lie.
Not so tough now, are you, Josh?
Like a pussy make you brave, man. Hey folks, I'm Tennessee Brando for Meidas Touch. I've got a clip here for you of Josh Hawley that I want you to see because it's another classic case of the right-wing talking points that they have mastered so well. The kind of talking points to someone who doesn't understand how government works, or someone who's not really dabbled much in politics, or someone who doesn't genuinely understand the difference between a Republican and a Democrat might fall for if they just heard it out loud.
I don't know who let these libtards in here.
Take a look at this clip, and then we're going to talk about Josh Hawley and how much he's done for the American family.
It is time to put the working people of this country first, to make those folks strong again and to make this country strong again.
Okay, now I'm sure if you played that clip for just the average guy on the street that didn't really study politics much, didn't really understand the difference between a Republican and a Democrat, the problem with Trump and the MAGA movement is that they've ushered in this entire group of people who really doesn't understand how things actually work, but they play off of their emotions.
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President Obama is the ex-president.
Entire group of people who really doesn't understand how things actually work, but they play off of their emotions.
Hey, shit, you fucking redneck.
The scene here is so different than it was a few hours ago when people were happy and relaxed. I have been looking around the room at people who are stone-faced. Some of them have been crying. Now they are confronting the reality, perhaps expecting that Donald Trump is going to become president.
So if Josh Hawley is all about us just forgetting about Ukraine and the globalist, and he's all for helping the American families, let's take a look here at times that he voted against the American family. First of all, the Respect for Marriage Act, he voted no.
The Respect for Marriage Act, he voted no.
Your thoughts going forward on this Disrespect for Marriage Act?
I voted no, and to me, listen, if you care about our constitutional structure, which says that religious liberty is a foundational liberty, it's our first liberty in the Bill of Rights, then you should be opposing this bill.
Agreed.
Respect for Marriage Act, he voted no. Inflation Reduction Act, he voted no.
Inflation Reduction Act, he voted no.
Moody's Analytics is saying the Inflation Reduction Act won't reduce inflation.
Despite its name, the Inflation Reduction Act does not reduce inflation.
Inflation Reduction Act, he voted no. Now, inflation has been the talking point for the Republicans ever since Biden took office, but inflation reduction, he voted against it.
It's libtards like you that are screwing up our country.
The University of Pennsylvania Wharton budget model found that this bill will increase America's inflation rate over the next 2 years.
Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, he voted no.
This is critical race theory with a gun and a badge and the power to arrest.
Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, he voted no. That's interesting considering how he's always telling us how that, so many people coming across the border is a threat, and so many people here in the country, groups right here in the country are a threat to us. They're always talking about the threats, but Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, he votes no.
This bill grows government. It gives more authorities to a corrupt, weaponized, politicized Department of Justice and FBI, and it gaslights the targeting of white people. This is particularly problematic in our military. I would note that this legislation has a grave and negative impact on every single American wearing the uniform right now in our military. It has them all concerned that if they liked the wrong meme, shared the wrong joke 7 years ago, that their career could be ruined, that their patriotism could be tarnished.
COVID Relief Act, no.
Spending hundreds of millions of dollars on stuff like abortion providers and environmental justice. That shows you where his priorities
It's spending the people's money. 9%, only 9% is going to COVID relief, and it's called the COVID Relief Package. When you look at all the pork, and I think we have a list of so much stuff that lawmakers have crammed in here.
Un-COVID-y stuff.
Exactly. $1 trillion, though, still has not been spent from past COVID-19 relief bills. So what does that tell you? Does that tell you that this is just an excuse? They want to say it's a COVID relief bill, but it's just an excuse to get what they need for their communities and their big donors?
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's about their left-wing agenda. And actually, the White House has been pretty frank about this. I think they called it the most progressive piece of domestic legislation in a generation. And that's about right. Notice COVID is nowhere in that sentence.
Women's Health Protection Act, no.
The Women's Health Protection Act, if passed, would guarantee the right for healthcare professionals to provide abortion care, even if Roe v. Wade was ever overturned.
In combination with what is the so-called Women's Health Protection Act, places the U.S. on a short list with North Korea and China as countries with the most extreme abortion policies in the world.
Women's Health Protection Act, no.
They want to fund Planned Parenthood. They want to do everything they can to make abortions easier when most conservative states are making abortions much harder to get.
Freedom to Vote Act, no.
Today, the United States rightly failed to advance the Corrupt Politicians Act. The Corrupt Politicians Act is the most dangerous legislation we've considered in the Senate in the 9 years I've served in this body. It's an attempt by Senate Democrats at a brazen power grab. It's an attempt by Democrats to federalize elections and to ensure that Democrats won't lose control for the next 100 years.
Freedom to Vote Act, no.
This bill isn't about protecting the right to vote. It's precisely the opposite. It's about taking away the right to vote from the citizens and giving it instead to the corrupt politicians in Washington who want to stay in power. 36 states have adopted voter ID laws. The Corrupt Politicians Act would repeal the vast majority of these voter ID laws.
If you really believe in all the talking points that the Republicans are saying, You should feel insulted when you learn that they didn't back up a word they were saying. It's different, though. With pro wrestling, you can just watch it for the circus that it is, and that's all that it is. But this is real life. This is real life that affects you. This isn't some circus we need to be watching. We need to stop watching the MAGA circus.
Eat shit, you fucking redneck!
I am your voice.
And every time they come out with these talking points, we say, wait a minute, what was it you voted for? What was it you voted against? Let's see. Explain this to the American people.
Fuck libtard.